From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It is Monday after Championship Sunday, so you know who I got with me today, and pretty much, you know, that's our Monday correspondent as well too, Mr. Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod. How you doing today, sir?
Just sitting here celebrating a little who day, who day, who day. Any of those people go way back in August, September to the NFL Bet Exchange, they know who we talked about early and often. And guess who day? They're heading to SoFi, my brother.
Yes, and that was a great win for the Bengals yesterday, and that's what we start our show off with today. The Bengals' epic run continued as they notched their sixth straight win. And as they notch their sixth straight and win the AFC title in that process, 27-24 in overtime, upsetting the Chiefs. But what made the game so special is that this team actually went ahead and came back from 21-3. It seemed like that it was over. As soon as they scored that third, that as soon as you get to 21-3, we've been at this movie before with Mahomes. It seemed like it was about to become a 45 to maybe 10 blowout, maybe something of that nature. And then Samaje Perine literally just brought the game back into contention. And you thought, okay, maybe this is just a really good run. And then the Chiefs did something that was a little bit cocky and a little bit unexpected, but a lot of people have this idea, since it's them, it's going to work. So pretty much what happens here is that you have a team that winds up, failing to get the touchdown there at the end of the first half. So, they get the ball back, and the biggest stop of the game occurred when they got that ball back in the second half to start the second half off, and Cincinnati got a 3-and-out. And that's where you said, okay, maybe this game might be getting a little different. And then they just start chipping, and then found themselves with the lead late in the game. The Chiefs weren't able to get their touchdown late in the game, the go-ahead dramatic touchdown, and then they wind up, Mahomes gets it absolutely he made a good throw, and Hill just couldn't catch it, and Von Bell was there on time, and destiny awaits. McPherson goes ahead and knocks down a field goal, and there you go. Cincinnati goes ahead and wins. Cincinnati won the battle of time of possession. They also won the battle in the air as well, too, and this is the key stat. 4 sacks, 2 turnovers. That's all we need to say at the end of the day. And the Bengals went ahead once again, a winner of circumstance, and they took care of their business, and they are now headed to the Super Bowl. Unexpectedly, I think they're about a year or two early, but all in all, kudos to the Bengals for being who they are. And literally, it showed us that the toughest divisions in football went at it in the AFC West and the AFC North, and that decided who was going to go to the Super Bowl, and it was an absolute epic game, and it belonged that way as well, too.
Well, I mean, I'll give you my honest 2 cents. The game was lost 5 seconds before halftime. It was 21-3. Andy's running out the field goal unit, and of course, Mr. Mahomes puts his hand up, says, "No, I got one. Okay, listen, if there was 7, 8, 9 seconds left, I understand it. You had no timeouts. You do a fade to the corner to Kels, to Hill, to Hardman, to Pringle, whoever you want to. It's a snap, 1-step throw. You incomplete it, and you kick the field goal. It's 24-3. His arrogance showed there again, and the fact that he throws it into the flat to Tyreek Hill, again, no chance to get out of bounds, no chance to score. 21-3, 24-3 there. The game is over. It's over. They get the ball to start the second half, and the rest is history. And what happened was Mahomes wasn't the same after that. And if you go back to their last game that they played Cincinnati, they had a huge first half. They had an 85-yard touchdown taken away, and Cincinnati rallied the troops and then won in overtime. Well, it didn't happen here. And as that game progressed, you could feel it getting tighter and tighter. They come down, they tie the game, and then they win the coin toss. And I had I had a bunch of guys over at the house, and I says, this is not the Buffalo game. They're not going down to score a touchdown. And I even called out and says, he's going to throw a pick here. You watch, and McPherson's going to kick a field goal, and they're going to win the game. Sure enough, yeah, the throw was good, okay, but it was perfect defense, and there was a trailer right there, interception, 2 first downs later. McPherson, who's been the MVP this whole playoff, comes in. He's nails. He's money. Money McPherson kicks the field goal, and here they are. You're right. They're a couple years ahead. I compared this all along to Dan Marino. And year 2, Dan got to the Super Bowl. He played the 49ers, and he lost, and he never got back. So enjoy this, embrace this. And I was sarcastically wore the orange shirt. I wore the sunglasses with the cigar. Not that I told the world that they were going to win the AFC. Not that I told the world that they were going to the Super Bowl or winning it. I just thought this team was a team that needed to be reckoned with. And they've had a lot of good breaks, especially in this playoffs. So it is what it is. They're heading to SoFi. They're 4.5-point dogs. The world's on the Rams and the under right now. We'll see what happens 2 weeks from now.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. That's what I like to hear. So pretty much let's go ahead and jump into our next topic at hand. And that's going to be this. This is going to be about what happened over at SoFi yesterday in a very exciting game. The Rams playing absolute classic at SoFi to win the NFC title over arch rival 49ers 20-17 to host and play in Super Bowl LVI. So pretty much yesterday was a big day for the Los Angeles Rams franchise because they were able to get over the hump, which is the San Francisco 49ers at that point, is with the 6 wins in a row. But you just had that feeling that it was going to be the Rams' day, to be honest with you, Jeff. And I know that San Francisco came in there. They got us up 17-7, 17 unanswered. And that's exactly what the Rams needed to go ahead and show everybody that they can beat this team. And they had to have a little bit of, adversity, because you have to understand. Let's look at the prime example in this game. They went up 17-zip the last time they played, right? And then they wound up losing the game. What was it? 24 to what was it? Something like 27-24. So that means that what happened in that game is that they scored 27-7. They outscored them by that amount. So pretty much when they jumped out 17-7, they go ahead and now it's 44-14. You know what I mean? They've outscored them. So, after a while, you have to go ahead and it's gut check time. And that's exactly what the Rams did. And they did not win that game because of their coach. They won that game simply because they're very talented players, and they knew that it was up to them. And this is what goes back to my point. Bill Walsh, the great Bill Walsh, even said this. Players don't play for coaches. Players don't play for fans. Players play for themselves. And the Rams were a very great example of that yesterday, that they were playing for each other. And that's why they were able to get that great win yesterday as well, too. But credit to the 49ers as well, too. They were playing for each other as well. And this game ended exactly the way it was supposed to end. I know that people got mad thinking that Jimmy G didn't bail him out this time, but I said to myself, Jimmy G got you 2 crucial wins against teams that you were not supposed to beat. So at the end of the day, he got you to the championship game. If Trey Lance would have became your starter halfway throughout the season, you guys would have finished last in the NFC West. I'm sorry. I hate to tell San Francisco 49er fans this, but there is a reason why Jimmy G stayed the starter, and he's not going to probably be the starter next year because we're at the crossroads. But to whomever he goes to, he'll be an asset, in my opinion. But all in all, the Rams got a great win yesterday. Stafford was good, but Stafford was still kind of shaky, 31 on 45 attempts. He had to throw the ball a lot yesterday. And I think that the Rams, all in all, were saved by great defense there in the last about, I would say, 18 minutes of the game. The moment that touchdown got scored, the Rams defense kicked it on, did not give up another point for the rest of the game. They walk out of there 13. They score 13 unanswered. They get themselves to win back to the Super Bowl and hosting the Super Bowl at the beautiful SoFi Stadium.
I had a lot of futures in August, September. A lot of clients had a lot of futures in November with 49ers, NFC champs, Super Bowl. And I'll be honest with you, Pops. I told everyone yesterday, I told them last week as well, grab some Rams plus 225 Super Bowl champs. Grab some Rams Super Bowl plus 215. In our action parlay yesterday, we used the Rams money line. Yes, San Fran was 2-0 this year against the Rams. Yes, they had won 6 in a row. Yes, they were 7-3 their last 10 against the Rams. Just, I don't think enough was getting said about what kind of run the Niners were on. In other words, Week 18 was a playoff game. They come from 17-0 deficit to beat the Rams. Then they go to Dallas as dogs. They beat Dallas. Then they go to the frozen tundra as dogs and beat the Packers. And it was almost like that 49er Nation thought that hey, we own these guys. They're going to the Super Bowl. Well, when they got that 10-point lead, I knew it wasn't enough. And the fact that, the Rams come down and they score, and everyone's going to talk about the interception that should have happened, that didn't happen. The fact of the matter is, once the 49ers got that 10-point lead, their offense was stagnant. Debo didn't touch the ball the last 12 and a half minutes. Your best playmaker did not touch the ball once. And you knew once it was going to be put into Jimmy G's hands, he was just an interception train wreck waiting to happen. I called him back foot Jimmy in the first quarter. When in doubt, feeling pressure, throw it off your back foot. In the whole playoffs, he should have had a half dozen picks, never mind pick 6. It was a hell of a run by the Niners to get to where they were. Again, they were within, this time, 15 minutes of going to the bowl, where last time they were 15 minutes away from winning the bowl. The better team won. The better team won in the Rams. They're all in this year. I mean, just look. I mean, Von Miller, OBJ, Akers has returned. I mean, this team is all in, and they get to host back-to-back years, hosting Super Bowls. It was good for the Bucs. Let's hope it's good for the Rams, Pops.
All right. That's what I love to hear that. And let's go ahead and hop into our next topic in hand, and let's go ahead and jump into the Super Bowl. So pretty much the Rams open up as favorites, but the Bengals will have money on their side. And I say this because, Jeff, when I see it open up at 3.5 and 4, this is going to get a lot of people that are very excited about the Bengals even more giddy about the Bengals, okay? The Bengals are the feel-good story of the NFL this year. Everybody, Joe Burrow has taken up a lot of the headlines over the last 24 hours or so. And you know that pretty much they're excited about everything. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd. And you know what? Joe Mixon is the glue that makes this whole thing stick. Yeah, Burrow's doing great. But Joe Mixon's game, his versatility is very, very irreplaceable because he can do it both. He can run and catch, and he's giving them the Gurley effect. He's giving them the Le'Veon Bell in my prime effect, and that's something that's huge for this team. So when we go ahead and compare the offensive weapons, the Bengals do seem to have the better potential down the road. But right now, the polished product, you have the illustrious Matt Stafford, you know what I mean? Finally seen as somewhat of a winner. Then you have OBJ, who I said yesterday on Talkin Tickets had to have a game, and he wound up having a game yesterday, which was critical for that win. Cooper Kupp is going to do Cooper Kupp things all the time, but I feel like there's a new X factor in town, and that's going to be Blatton. I thought Jefferson was going to be the big X factor, but it seems that he is the best guy to overthrow. So when you can start another play, because he got overthrown like 4 times yesterday, and he did beat coverage. So I think Stafford has to do a better job of putting the ball on the money for Van Jefferson, who could have had a huge game yesterday himself. So when I look at the offenses, you would go ahead and you would favor the Bengals just a little bit. Even though the offensive line for the Rams are better, you say this: you trust the Bengals quarterback just a tad bit more. That's the whole thing, because Matt Stafford showed us yesterday that he damn near couldn't get out of his own way at crucial moments. But with everybody playing together as one, when you got the Andrew Whitworth of the world, and you got Cooper Kupp, and you got OBJ out there, life is easier. Sony Michel and Cam Akers were both very helpful in the little bit of the work that they did. They were still productive. So pretty much that showed a good team offense. But when you talk about explosive, one play, 85 yards, it's going to be the Bengals. Even though the Rams can do the same exact thing, the Bengals can do it a little bit more effective, in my opinion. And I think that when we compare the defenses, the defense will go to the Rams. And this is pretty much is always maybe the most important thing that goes into the Super Bowl. But it can be overrated at the same time, too. You have to have an offense back up this defense, and the Rams have the offense to back up this defense. I think Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey, those 3 names right there are huge in their side of the ball. The Bengals played a great team game yesterday on defense. I don't think that they played great defense throughout the first 2 games, but yesterday they were able to keep it right where they needed to, and they only gave up 19 points in the first 2 games. They gave 19, and then they gave 16. So pretty much that was 35 points in total. So they gave up their most points yesterday. So pretty much this team they're playing good bend but don't break defense, and they're getting big plays at the right moment. So this could be a little bit of a factor for them going against a quarterback like Stafford. But I think at the end of the day, this game will wind up being really, really good. But I don't want to just already front run and already say, okay, the Rams should wrap this thing up. But I will say this, though. If you're going to bet this game, you might as well skip out on the spread. Just pick the winner. If you got to overspend on the Rams, overspend on the Rams. If you want to go ahead and be the big dog and hope you can go ahead and get the Cinderella home one last time, then go ahead and play the Cinderella. But I would say this: if you want to play the spread and things of that nature, use it as a 2-for-1 situation. So I think the spread works out better for the Bengals bettors, and I think that the money line should work out a little bit better for the Rams bettors, and then hopefully we can meet ourselves in the middle, Jeff.
Well, I mean, you brought up a couple key points. First and foremost, I think the tight end for Cincinnati, Azuma, a bad knee injury, so I don't know his availability. Higbee, the same thing. Blanton has stepped up real nice for you. The talks of Ramsey covering Chase one-on-one, therefore Chase is shut down. No one has shut Chase down. But the fact is, you got T. Higgins and you got Tyler Boyd. I mean, they have weapons, and more weapons. They have a good running back with Joe Mixon. And here's the amazing part is this: is 2 weeks ago, he got sacked 9 times by Tennessee. He didn't get sacked once yesterday. And he was scrambling, getting out of sacks, getting out of tackles. Like, listen, I know he's mobile, but I mean, he's running around, and I'm not comparing him to Lamar Jackson or Josh, anything like that. But his escapability yesterday. Listen, it's almost one of these. Listen, I would have liked to have seen Kansas City. I mean, obviously, I had a plus 400 on them, against the Rams. I thought it would have been a great matchup. Even the 49ers. This Bengal team is destined. That's all you can say. So if you didn't have them against the Raiders, you didn't have them against the Titans, you didn't have them against the Chiefs, it's hard now to jump on their bandwagon. Because if you look on paper, Von Miller, Donald, okay? I mean, he's going to get sacked a couple times. How many times is a couple? I mean, listen, you give the edge at quarterback to the Bengals. You have to give the edge Burrow over Stafford. But other than that, the Rams own the defense. The Rams offensively, Cooper Kupp, OBJ. Listen, their surge here has a lot to do with the resurgence of OBJ. I mean, we talked about when Woods got left for the season. They bring in over OBJ. It took a few weeks to get his sea legs. The kid's been lights out, absolute lights out. Stafford has all the faith in the world with him. You got Van Jefferson. Higbee goes down, in comes Blanton. And so I give the edge at coaching again to the Rams. I'll check the boxes for a quarterback with Burrows, for the field goal kicker McPherson. If you picked one wide receiver, Chase versus Kupp, it's a toss-up, and then you go from there. We'll have 2 weeks to talk about it. It opened at 3.5. It's at 4. Now it's at 4.5. It's getting close to 5. They're betting the Rams, and they're betting the under right now. We'll see where it is next Monday when we come on, and we'll go from there.
And I would say this. I say that it's just early in action bettors. So I would say that somebody's going to move this line by next week. Hopefully I'll be in Vegas either this week or next week to see that happen, because there's a whole bunch of props and things like that I do want to jump on, and I want to do it over at the Superbook this year. So pretty much I should be on so I'll make sure to show you guys tickets and things like that. But there are some good props that I think that can be hit in this game as well too. So let's go ahead and talk about some real quick news. I know that we've had 3 different NFL coach hirings, but I think that this could be the most important one out the group, because I would say this, that Chicago's in a situation right now where they got a guy who seems like he's going to be a good leader of men, but you have to see if they're going to get the results at the end of the day. But he seems like he's going to be a good coach, Jeff. And then I think that Denver is just being cheap in a sense. They're going after a guy that's going to be what I would say a robotic coach, where the analytics are going to be having say at the end of the day. They're going to have the final say on what coach is going to do. And so pretty much I think they went ahead and made that move to be a little comfortable and to put themselves in the front of the pack for the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes as well too.
Yeah, we've talked till we're blue in the face here, Pops. The 9th pick in the draft last year was Denver's, and they passed on Justin Fields. And I said all along, they must think they have Rodgers in their back pocket. Well, they didn't get him last year. They bring over the OC from the Packers this year. I think the writing's on the wall that he's going to end up there, unless his leverage is just to rip up the contract, sign him for 3 years, franchise, get Devontae paid. They're already $45 million over the cap. So I don't understand what's going on there. Listen, I'm just going to say this about Josh McDaniels, okay? I live 45 minutes from the stadium. I've seen his work now for a decade. I see him. What was not brought up a lot, Pops, and I'm going to just enlighten a lot of people here. Everyone thinks that he got cold feet when he went to the Colts and he was on the plane and he decided to back out in the 11th hour. The report was Brady went to Kraft and told Kraft, I'm not playing unless Josh stays. So then Kraft reports to McDaniels, say, hey, get your ass back here. We want you here. We're going to give you a new contract. Well, if you go deeper into the story, rumor has it he caught wind that Andrew Luck was 50-50. Andrew retired that year. Andrew ended up not playing. So put yourself in Josh's shoes saying, hey, there's a good possibility. I'm leaving the Patriots. I'm going to the Colts, and I don't have a quarterback. I don't have that Andrew Luck that I wanted. So my 2 cents on Josh McDaniel is this: I think he's good. I think he's a system guy. I hope he learns from his mistakes the first time. I think if you looked deep into what you had there, you had a guy that kept you guys intact. You had a guy that got you to the playoffs. I would have stuck with him for 1 year, Pops. I really would have. I think, listen, I don't think Josh is the answer. Okay. That's my 2 cents. I've seen his work. I'm just going on telling you, I don't think that was the right move. That's just my 2 cents there.
Well, you know what? Let me go ahead, and I have to say that I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I think that at the same time, though, that Josh, the first time around, Josh wasn't ready. You know what I mean? I think that everything seemed perfect. You know what I mean? He had a great owner, great franchise, and then he probably made one move that he shouldn't have made. Draft Tim Tebow. And then believe in Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was able to maneuver himself to get the guys to the playoffs somewhat and get a lot of attention. But at the end of the day, you had McDaniels trying to act like he was Belichick, and he hadn't proved anything yet in the NFL. He hadn't won enough yet to talk like a Belichick or treat players like a Belichick. You know what I mean? So I think that was a real rude awakening and everything like that. And I do understand where you're coming from, because you have bird's eye view. Just like when people talk to me about LA things, and I know a little bit more than they do about it, that, you know, sometimes, well, I'm just going off of what the media said. No, when you listen to local stuff and you know people in the business and things like that, you hear some things that you just can't talk about. And I know that Josh McDaniels has been kind of a guy he's kind of like the girl that, okay, you went on a date with and she's really fine and you think that you got a shot with her, and then she says, you know what, I'm just going to stay with my old man. You know what I mean? I'm good where I'm at. You know, but with the Raiders, Las Vegas, that's one enticing thing. Somewhat of a new lifeblood in the NFL. Even though it's the Raiders and it's a 60-year-old product, it's a new city in the NFL. You know what I mean? And then you also have Derek Carr, a quarterback that you can absolutely build up more if you want. You know what I mean? Because he has that competitive spirit that Tom Brady has. Even though he doesn't result in wins, he still has the same competitive spirit. He still goes about his game and his approach in the correct way. And then you have a good Josh Jacobs as well, too, to run with, and a good little receiver core and things like that. But there's things that he can do with this offense that he probably seen that he can't do in New England right now, because they're kind of, you know, inept a little bit, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And then, you know what? He can go ahead and build the defensive side of the ball. The only problem that I have is that the Raiders had such a great overall coaching staff. You know what I mean? Bisaccia was able to be the manager of that great staff. That's why they were able to get to the playoffs. And I just don't want to see Josh just blow up the whole coaching staff. You want to say keep guys like Cable around. You want to keep guys like Gus Bradley around. You can go ahead and move off from the offensive coordinator. He's not good. But other coaches that are involved with the Raiders, they have to stick around, certain coaches. And Bisaccia, you're probably going to lose him, because Bisaccia is going to get more money somewhere down the road as a special teams coach somewhere else if he doesn't get a job as a head coach. Jacksonville's interviewing him today. So pretty much when I look at this, I say to myself, McDaniels is going to do a great job, but I think that when you bring Ziegler and you have this duo from the Patriots, there's going to be a lot of expectations. But I know one thing, the Dave Ziegler is going to be a little bit more responsible as a GM than Mike Mayock was. He's not going to be a guy that's going to just go after names. He's going to go after very productive players. And that's one thing that I like about Ziegler and McDaniels coming to the Raiders. They're going to put the right players on the roster. They're not just going to put a name on the roster because the guy was great 5 years ago. You know what I mean? They are going to actually build a roster that has players that can show up for you every Sunday. So I do like what the Raiders are doing, but I do question it as well, too. I feel like Mark Davis kind of jumped the gun a little bit too quickly. He should have did a couple more interviews before he committed to McDaniels. You know what I mean? He should have kind of made him sweat a little bit. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But he's coveted him for some time now, from what I'm hearing.
There's supposedly rumors Harbaugh going to the Dolphins. I'll believe that when I see that. The fact of the matter is, you know, what's going on with Bieniemy? Again, is he now going to become the Josh McDaniels? He's going to sit and wait till Andy leaves and then stay there with Patrick. My point is, you know, for years and years, he was the shiny new toy. He was the coveted one, and he'd get to the altar, he'd back out. Whether he's not interviewing good or correctly, or he's saying stuff they don't want to hear. Listen, the offense is in place. Now, you're either all in or you're out on Carr. I mean, listen, I don't know what more you could ask from Carr. You have a decent back with Jacobs. You got a pass catching back there as well. Listen, the emergence of Hunter Renfrow. You have Brian Edwards, okay? Waller, big disappointment. You got players there. Josh is the offensive guy. Here's what you need to put in place with the Raiders. You got to make sure you have a great defensive coordinator. You need pieces in place and let Josh be Josh and handle the offense. You do not want his hands in everything else. If you got everything else in place, it was a hell of a hire, Pops. I guess that's how I'll say it best.
Hey, I totally agree with you, and you are coming from the New England point of view. And if he was really, really good, he would have stuck around and just took over the Pat's job because it's already a comfortable situation. But I'm thinking once Kraft is done with Belichick, he's going to get rid of all of that. You know what I mean? And he's going to start fresh, brand new whole situation.
Well, I'll give you 2 cents because that was, I guess I should have added that. I think the writing's on the wall, and there's starting to be some whispers. Gerard Mayo or Mike Vrabel. Those are the 2 names that I've heard the most, that if Bill was to step aside, especially Mayo. They really like Mayo a lot. The Pats' plan is this. Hey, Josh left. They're already working on Alabama to get Bill O'Brien back. They're working to get Bill O'Brien back to move him to the OC. There's talks if Flores does not get a head coaching job, he's coming back. And there's even talks that they might add Joe Judge. They might back in special teams coach. In other words, they could bring back the whole team. They won't miss a beat with Josh. They got Bill O'Brien there. Hey, here comes Flores back on the defense. In comes Joe Judge. And the whole tree's back, which, again, as you see the AFC and the emergence of Joe, these young quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. I'm not putting Mac in that category, but the AFC is going to be real, real dangerous for years to come.
Yes, it is. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. But before that, let's go ahead and make sure that we know that who's paying some bills right now, and that's going to be our friends over here at Southwest. So you guys make sure to jump on that. You guys make sure to jump on their deals that they have going on. Southwest, very good company, rapid rewards and all that good stuff. So you guys go ahead and hit the link that's on the show description, and you guys can go ahead and get yourself situated with your rapid rewards. It pays to fly Southwest. So we will be back in a few moments, and when we do get back, we'll be talking some hoops.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some college basketball today, Jeff, because I have you here with me. So we're going to talk a little bit of college basketball real quick. We have up first in our CBB Monday top games, we got Duke and Notre Dame here in a rescheduled game. This one should be a real good one because you have a Notre Dame team that's starting to peak a little bit, and then you have a Duke team that's seen is a top 5 team. A lot of people know that this is the victory tour somewhat for Coach K in a sense. So you know that you have this idea that you'll possibly be seeing Duke in the Final Four, but I don't know if they're a good enough team for the Final Four because they're not getting challenged enough in the ACC, which is just a big conference for no reason this year. And I think that at the end of the day, maybe the ACC might want to think about kind of cutting back a little bit on how many teams they have here because it's starting to kind of kill it's starting to kind of kill the conference a little bit, in my opinion. You have about 4 teams that really don't belong there. And I think that, pretty much this year is a really off year for the ACC. Jeff, we sat here for years gloating about the ACC and how good it was, overall. And we can only find like 2 really bad teams in the conference. This year, it's literally majority of the conference is pretty bad. It's about 6 really good teams, in my opinion, this year, but you got 16 though. So that means like 10 of your teams are very middling or mediocre at best. And then you got Notre Dame, who's always doing what Notre Dame does. They start winning at this time of the year to try to sneak into the tournament as a 7th, 8th seed, 6th seed, something of that nature. And they go from there. So your thoughts tonight on this game?
Yeah, I have mixed opinions on this one. I like Notre Dame and the points, obviously, but if you follow gambling Twitter or anywhere on social media, they seem like that public trendy dog today. Currently at +5.5. Ticket count, 56% of the bets, 76% of the money, all coming in on Notre Dame. The line opened at 5.5. It's 5 right now at Circa. And at Westgate, it's up to 5.5 at South Point. I would lean the points here, but it's real public. It's real chalky right now. I think Notre Dame can cover. I kind of lean Duke to maybe steal a win here, but Notre Dame's played well, especially at home, and they have good history against Duke, Bubs.
I heard that, and I think that honestly, if Notre Dame can win the battle when it comes down to the little things like making free throws, because they are the better free throw shooting team, they got a real big shot to go ahead and get a nice upset tonight. But this is the type of game that the lines makers set up for anxious bettors who want to bet a dog and pretty much get that dog pretty much popped and put the muzzle on them. So, we have to see how this one goes. But I'm with you, though. I think that this is kind of tricky. But you know what? Just trust the angle a little bit. And I like Notre Dame with the +5.5. They could possibly win this game as well, too.
I agree.
But we'll see, though, because if Duke gets out early and often, then it's going to be a wrap. Well, I'll just be honest with you, because Duke is just really, really good, and they are a confident team. And when they can play with some confidence there, then it's going to be some trouble for Notre Dame. But I don't feel like they're going to just jump on Notre Dame like that. So let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is a really good game. A lot of people aren't talking about this one necessarily, but this is a Mountain West game right here, and you have Colorado State 16-2. You have Wyoming 16-3 coming into the game. Nobody's talking about these two teams because they're not in the top 25. And that's because, they still have a little bit of a bias against the Mountain West, which they shouldn't have anymore. Mountain West is almost, I wouldn't say comparable to the Big East, but it is the somewhat on the Big East's level somewhat, because it does produce NBA players, and they do produce very good teams that can always run the table in tournaments as well, too. So pretty much from what I see here with Colorado State today is that they're going to run into a situation where they're going to be playing a rival. And I think that Wyoming, knowing that they have a lot of things working in their favor right now, I think that they'll step it up big today and find a way to win this game. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I can honestly tell you Friday night, this Colorado State team hosted UNLV and were 14-point favorites and lost by 20 outright. And now, listen, UNLV scrappy. You don't know which UNLV team is going to show up. But I know one thing: Larry Johnson and Stacey Augman and Tark weren't there, and they won by 20. So I have to think one or two things. They were peeking ahead to this game. I honestly have to say that. And Pops, it's flipped now. Wyoming opened up 1.5. Now Colorado State is -1.5 across the Vegas Strip. 67% of the bets, 71% of the money, all coming in on Colorado State. So I think they're thinking the same thing. I've talked to some colleagues around Vegas. They lean the home team. They lean Wyoming here. I don't know which Colorado State team I'm going to get, the one that was peaking, or is this team all of a sudden in a funk? Because if they play like they did against UNLV, they're going to get waxed in Wyoming, Pops.
All right. And you know what? Laramie is one of the tougher places to play at for football and basketball. So this is going to be a really, really tough game, a really hard game. And Wyoming is a sneaky team to possibly win the Mountain West as well, too, because they're playing really good basketball, and especially against the conference as well, too. So let's go ahead and jump into the big game of the day. And we got the Baylor team that's just struggling right now. They've lost I think their last 3 out of 5 or so, and they have lost 3 games this month. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you know college basketball the way that we do, there's nothing wrong with Baylor right now. Baylor is just getting a whole little taste of being really good for a long period of time, and then people figuring out things about you. You know what I mean? And I think that Baylor has kind of regressed back to the old Baylor that we used to know. They had a lot of really good players on that team from last year that could go ahead and fix those mistakes and not make them look too bad. Baylor absolutely dominated teams last year. And at one point this year, they were absolutely dominating teams again. But I don't think that Baylor played enough really good teams to start the year off to be prepared for the Big 12. And I knew that this could possibly be a problem when you're only beating teams like Northwestern State by 15. You know what I mean? So I know that, it's just kind of like a practice game, whatever, and you shouldn't be worried about a team covering a 32-point spread. But to me, when a team can cover that spread, 32 points, they're going to be absolutely dominant when it comes to playing against the big boys. But when you kind of play patty cake with them and kind of not take them as seriously as you should, this will affect your game later on down the road. And then you wind up having big losses like to Texas Tech, and then losing the teams that unexpectedly, like this weekend, losing over the weekend to, I'm trying to think about exactly who they lost to. Was it Alabama? So pretty much they lose that game and Alabama has pretty much some bragging rights right now. They beat both participants in the national championship last year as well too. So there's a lot of things that's going into this game where you say, man, Baylor, I don't know. But I know one thing. I don't ever want to take a team with 14 points as the favorite once they've lost in a game like they've lost Saturday. You know what I mean? And West Virginia is a team that's always really tricky. You can never sleep on Bobby Huggins. So I really do like the plus 14 on West Virginia tonight, a team that possibly can be in the tournament as well too this season. They're not ranked, but they do have a good RPI. So they could possibly be another team in the tournament. And, sometimes when you have coaches like Bobby Huggins, they give you street cred. So the committee kind of uses that as a way to get your team in there. So West Virginia has to win games like this one to really stay safe, in a sense, to where they don't have to play that opening game. I'm talking about that Tuesday, Wednesday game. Nobody wants to play that game. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think that West Virginia can cover in this game. I'm not going to say that they win, but I don't think that Baylor's just going to snap back like that. Your thoughts, Jeff?
Old Huggy Bear, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? I mean, this used to be the feared team in conference play with their trap, their style of play. And as you said, Baylor, by the way, and you were talking about Bama. Bama's beaten 3 out of the final 4 teams last year this year. And that's a Bama team you don't want to play if they're hitting the threes. They'll beat anyone in the country, anyone. A Baylor team, I don't want to say eating a little humble pie because they know they were good, okay? But they get slapped around. They're in what people say is, I know people think the Big Ten's the toughest conference from top to bottom. I think, the Big 12 has just as much competition as well. A Texas Tech team that can win at any time. Kansas, add Baylor to the mix. And it's long. Texas, TCU having a sneaky good year this year.
Right.
So a number that's set real high for one reason and one reason only, pops to it. Try to get some West Virginia money. I know this. If the real Baylor team shows up, they win by 20. And if they don't, well, they're in for a dogfight. So the ticket count right now is 59% of the bets, 57% of the money is coming in on West Virginia. A line that opened at 14 and is now down to 13 at Circa and Westgate, 13.5 at South Point and Caesars. A game I would tread lightly. I think the points are a bonus here, but just you'll know early in this game. I would tread real lightly. It's kind of a popcorn game. Enjoy it.
Popcorn love is more than noon and night. Hey, you know, I always got to throw out some Boston new edition, something like that when Jeff's in the house. This is a little known fact about Jeff. This is why Jeff is good on the block all the time with anybody. Jeff's a Roxbury guy. So, you know, at the end of the day, Jeff knows what's up, Boston. So all my people in Boston, Jeff got your back, bro. Seriously.
Candy girl.
Hey, you already know. You already know. He said, hey, they used to have to pay protection to Jeff. You know what I mean? Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike.
They came down to our roller skating rink and sang a few songs back at Pro Skate way back in the day. I was one of those roller skating guys on Friday at Cape Skate, Saturday at Pro Skate. I love to roller skate. I send you some of those clips sometimes from TikTok. I still got it. I'm 55. I got my own skates. I'll strap them on any Friday or Saturday night.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, Jeff, let's get into the NBA, man. We got NBA Monday nights. You know I love me some NBA Monday night. You know that. And NBA Monday night, we got eight games going. We got the Grizzlies and the 76ers going at it tonight. You do have Embiid out for rest tonight, so that's where you still be like, well, you know, 76ers should. But the 76ers are a good home team. And the 76ers play very good defense. So that's why they're not going to be a big dog tonight. And they're actually a dangerous dog tonight, in my opinion, because the Grizzlies have played great basketball, but at some point you're going to hit the wall for a little bit. And I think that the Grizzlies are very close to doing that, in my opinion. And I think that the Philadelphia 76ers are just keeping things nice and steady as they go. Because the thing is, this team is I got to give Doc Rivers his props. Doc Rivers is probably doing his best coaching job with the 76ers because he has a controversial situation going on and he's still holding the team's attention. So I think that, you know, they're going to get rid of Ben Simmons in the next week or two. Let's just be honest about that. I think that's going to happen. There's teams walking away, but then now there's other teams walking into the room. So I look at this game tonight and I say to myself, it's going to be tough to pick a winner because you have a Grizzlies team that's going to get overbet. And I don't think that you should overbet a Grizzlies team in Philadelphia tonight, to be honest with you. And I think that you shouldn't have this idea that you're going to do something sneaky with the 76ers. So I would say the best bet here is to play the under 217. Well, not the under, but actually the over 217 and a half. There's going to be guys on the Sixers that don't score a lot. They're going to be scoring a lot tonight. And then there's going to be guys on the Grizzlies that are going to be digging into it as well, too. I expect a close game, and I expect a lot of points in this game, and I do tend to favor the over here. Jeff, what are your quick thoughts about the Grizzlies and the 76ers tonight?
Again, you hit the point. Listen, guys, you cannot run to the window because the guy is out. This line flipped from Philly -3.5 to Memphis -3.5. Embiid has been – listen, if you don't have an MVP ticket on Embiid by now, you've missed the boat there. The guy's just been phenomenal. 85% of the bets, 97% of the money coming in on Memphis. Listen, there's only one way to play this game, and that would be Philly. Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't play it at all. They're still at home. Yes, he is not playing. Memphis is hot, but just because one guy is out, we've seen it a million times in the NBA. You know, I mean, look at KD out all of a sudden, but Harden carries them. Your Lakers, you know, AD out and LeBron carries them. It happens every time in the NBA locally. Tatum out and then Jaylen Brown scores 30. So don't run to the window just because one guy's out. There's only one play here, and that would be the Sixers plus the 3.5, or otherwise wouldn't play it at all.
There it is. There it is. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next game in tow, and that's going to be the Raptors and the Hawks. This game is actually going to be pretty good tonight because you do have a Hawks team that's actually won 7 in a row. They had to have a pretty good comeback yesterday, though, against the Lakers because the Lakers were up 10 going into the third quarter. They wound up outscoring the Lakers in that quarter. It was 38-21 for them to go ahead and get an 8-point win yesterday. But that just goes to show you, and as I told everybody's what's wrong with the Hawks? When are the Hawks going to step it up? When are the Hawks going to do this? The Hawks, once again, are a team that's not going to get themselves started until after the All-Star break or right before the All-Star break because they kind of did run into a tough schedule to start their season off, okay? And they weren't good on the road either. So pretty much when you're not good on the road, it's going to catch up with you on the overall record. So they've kind of fixed that issue a little bit. They're playing their best basketball at home. And I think tonight they have the Raptors, who have now turned into the slight favorite tonight, because I know that Trae Young is dealing with some issues and everything like that. But I still think the way that they're moving right now, the Atlanta Hawks, you have to still take them seriously tonight. And if Trae plays, great. If he doesn't, whatever. But I think at the end of the day, you can trust the rest of the Hawks to show up and get themselves a nice win tonight, especially after last night when the Raptors kind of got themselves a good, grueling win in a tough spot last night. And then they walk into this spot tonight playing against the Hawks, and the Hawks are playing great basketball at home. And, they've won their last 4 in a row at home as well, too, from what I'm seeing here. So I got to go ahead and I got to go run with the where the money's at. And I like the Hawks tonight. So the Hawks are actually minus 110 now. So you guys skip out on that minus 140. That line is different because the line has switched up since I set this. So Jeff, real quick, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking now. There has been a flip. Toronto now -1 at South Point, 1 at Caesars, 1 at WinBet, 1.5 at DraftKings, a pick at Westgate and Circa. So maybe there will be some load management here on the Atlanta side. Again, if Trae is out, I'm not running to the window to back Toronto in the flip. I would just stay away here. I lean the 7 in a row, but Vegas is telling me something right now that the shops are on Toronto. I'm seeing 66% of the bets, 61% of the money on the Hawks, yet Toronto is now the favorite. So buyer beware.
All right, so there it is, buyer beware. And see, I don't like it when they do that, when they turn a road team into the favorite, when we keep flipping up the line and everything, because that's what they're trying to throw you off. So then they can get all this big money on Toronto. And then, you sitting up in there, Atlanta fans sitting up in there kind of scary, but then at the end of the day, you're smiling because you was on the right side the whole time. So let's go ahead and move forward to your boys, Boston, down in Miami. I hope they can make it to the game tonight because it's Miami, and you know how we get down in Miami, Jeff. Ain't nothing but some party going on in Miami. So pretty much the Celtics are in Miami, and no, they are not. And let me go ahead and fix this real quick. The Celtics are not Celtics are the home team. I'm so sorry tonight. But the Celtics are the home team. I know that the Celtics have kind of been a team that we have not been able to really gauge on what they're going to be. I know they're a playoff team, Jim. I know that they're going to make the playoffs, but it's like what seeding and how you going to make the playoffs and what you going to do when you get to the playoffs. Now, you do have a Heat team that's coming that was just at 1-3 in a row before they lost to Toronto the other night, losing by 4. Now they go ahead, they play Boston here, who's coming off of a good win against New Orleans after losing by 16 in Atlanta the few days before. So this team has won their last 3 out of 5, and the Heat have won their last 3 out of 5. Now, they're not that far apart when it comes to point differential either. They're not that far apart when it comes to shooting free throws as well. And there's some of the best three-point shooting teams in the NBA, too, to top that off. Now, the Celtics are a better defensive team here, but I think that at the end of the day, this one right here, I know Jimmy Butler is probably going to be out, but they've been without Jimmy Butler half the season anyway, and still have the best record in the Eastern Conference from the last time I checked. So I think tonight the Heat go ahead and just do what they do when they're a dog in a spot where people really don't know what to do with them on that night. I think they come up in here and beat your Celtics tonight, to be honest with you, Jeff. They will be my dog of the day at +155, and it's jumped to +180 at that.
Yeah, a game where 56% of the tickets and 53% of the money on the Celtics. They opened up at 3.5, now 6.5 at Circa and Westgate, 7 at Caesars. So I don't know if someone's out from Miami. They have to check the status on Butler and whoever there. But a big push on the Celtics. Green have been playing a little better. Really inconsistent, just a 500 team. I've talked all along about their woes, about Tatum, about Jaylen Brown playing together. It is what it is, but there's movement on the Celtics. So check your rosters, who's in, who's out. But it seems like the Sharps like the Celtics tonight, Bubs.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next game, which is going to be a game that's going to be a Western Conference game. This used to be somewhat of a rivalry for a few years back when it was Chris Paul and Harden and, going against KD and going against Steph and Clay. And, they made for great theater, okay? And how far they have fallen. Both teams kind of fell apart, but the Warriors were really never falling apart. The Warriors just had to go ahead and kind of renovate the situation. They moved out of an old raggedy stadium in Oakland, moved into a brand new stadium. And I've noticed that a lot of teams in the NBA and sometimes the NFL, when they move into a brand new stadium, it's so nice that it's kind of overwhelming to them. And I think that, they ran into a pretty bad situation with, Clay getting hurt and things like that. And Curry being absolutely, not the healthiest of healthy over the last few seasons. He's healthy again. So pretty much now you have the Warriors there are back to being the Warriors. That's great. Klay Thompson's back. They got a bunch. They got three really young, good players that they can build upon for the future as well, too. So, the Warriors got everything working in their favor. Now, the Rockets somewhat have the same situation, but they just don't have any star power. John Wall, their one superstar all-star guy, is on the way out. He hasn't played all season because that's what they decided. And so this game always is going to be tricky because the Rockets know that how good the Warriors are. And they remember that they're rivals, okay? So this will be a tough game tonight. But I think all in all, when it comes down to it, Jeff, you have a Warriors team that leads the league in games going under because they've played great defense this year. And I think that this game goes under, to be honest with you. So that's what I like here is the under. It's tough to take a side here with the 10.5, but I do like the under in this spot.
Game open up Golden State 10.5, now 11, 53% of the bets, 89% of the money on Dub Nation. Your total opened at 230 and a hook, now 229 and a hook across the Vegas Strip. 50% of the bets are on the over, 96% of the money on the over, yet the line has dropped a full point. So I think your eyes are correct, and we would lean the under 229 and a hook as well, Pups.
All right, sounds good. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our final game that we have here. And this is one I know I'm going to catch you off guard with this one, but we don't have a lot of great matchups tonight. And you know what? We have to mix it up a little bit too. I can't put it on the best game every night. You know what I mean, Jeff? Seriously, because sometimes you'll hit these nice tickets because you're playing these under the radar games that really have a better gauge on, to be honest with you. These high-end TV games, and they're playing for standings and positions and things like that. These games can go any way that they want to sometimes. But you can go into these games like this and take the dog and be comfortable. You know what I mean? And because they're not good. Neither one of the teams are good right now. So you pretty much, it's like betting the SWAC or betting the our favorite conference, the Metro. You know what I mean? Because the teams you don't know what's going to happen in the game tonight. Oh yeah, and just before I get into this one, yesterday, Jeff, I don't know if you saw it, but Metro Sundays, they play every Friday and Sunday, but they played the full schedule yesterday. We swept the board, all 5 games, sweep, beautiful stuff. And I know we didn't win every single one of them, but we got the sweep that we needed, though, yesterday, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
We love those guys, trust me. And I've been crushing it in the Ivy League as well. So the small schools pay the bills, trust me.
Cornell is a big play in the Ivy League right now. And if you guys are looking at tournament teams, I think me and Jeff are going to have to do a quick little show here at the end of February or so when we get into the full depth of March Madness. And then I think we can start breaking down small schools for you in schools to look out for in those tournaments that you're betting, not for the big tournament, but for the postseason conference tournament. So you guys be ready for that one as well too. But let's just get down to this game. I'm going to be just dead honest with you, Jeff. I think that the Blazers have a good shot tonight. I think that this is the type of get over game for the Blazers, especially after the way they beat up on Toronto in Toronto the other night. I think that OKC is nowhere near as good as Toronto. And I think that the Blazers know that there's a big chip on their shoulder at this point, that nobody's taking them seriously because Lillard's not here. But CJ McCollum's really not going to have any of that right now. So I think that they're good to go. I had them at -4 tonight, even though they were at 3.5. Either or, I think they win this game by 6 or better, Jeff.
Yeah, opened up at 3.5, now a flat 4. 58% of the bets, 82% of the money, all coming in OKC's way. But yet the line has gone from 3.5 to 4. So reverse line movement definitely on the Portland Trailblazers tonight.
All right, so let's go ahead, and we are coming to the end. I know Jeff's excited because he has his 14 other shows to do today. So pretty much, let me hurry up and get us down the road. So first, let's go ahead and look into what I have for CBB tonight. Actually, it's going to be, this is the CBB group. So we have a 54-1 ticket tonight, Jeff. We have a plus 5.5 on Notre Dame tonight. I also threw in Hadford tonight with the 6.5. And I know I'm kind of tripping here, Jeff, because Hadford is a 6.5 point favorite, but they've only won 4 games. And Maine's only won 4 games. You see what they do in the Northeast Conference, Jeff? You see what they do in the American East and all these places, that they'll put a team as a -8.5, and they got 5 wins against a team that has 3. Come on, dude.
Trust me.
They're just giving you value when we play these conferences, dog.
Northeastern not once but twice got me last week against UNC Wilmington. That's won like a 10 in a row. And yeah, Northeastern was favored in the first game and lose outright. And then they're short dogs on the playback game, and they get spanked again. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Right, and I think Maine popped somebody last week big time. I think it was Albany, to be exact. So, you got 6.5 with Hartford and Maine tonight. But see, I know how Hartford and Maine get down, Jeff. And Hartford really has like a real, they have a real hold over them. So that's why I'm taking Hartford in this spot, because Hartford's been much better in past seasons. And I know that they'll probably kick it on as the season keeps progressing, because that's one thing about these small school conferences. Yeah, they can be 4-12 today, but then they kick off a nice little 4 or 5 game winning streak. They take that into the tournament. It's a whole new ball game. So you have Iowa tonight in another makeup game. I like Iowa at the -5. This is risky business, though, because we're in Happy Valley, one of the toughest places to play at in the conference as well, too. But I think Iowa's good enough to win this game tonight by 6 or better. And then you have Drexel tonight in their Colonial game. So I like what I see here with them as well, too, so with the plus 105. So I think Drexel can be a good spot for us tonight. And as I already explained, I love Wyoming tonight here in our later games with the plus 105 money line. And then we also have West Virginia to go ahead and finish us out at the plus 14.5. This is going to give us a 54-1 ticket. Jeff, quick thoughts on this ticket?
Well, we talked about Notre Dame, obviously. Iowa on a bounce back. And the 2 games that are real coin tosses is Drexel, who I've been talking about all day today, which side to lean there, and Wyoming, which Colorado State team shows up there. And then, of course, which Baylor team shows up there. I think you got some a great ticket here with a lot of games that could go either which way, but I like where your eyes are.
All right. And guys, you guys can also check all the famous CBB bets lists. They're all on Twitter right now. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. I got every conference playing, including both HBCU conferences as well, too, which is always a tricky situation. If anything's tricky, it's those conferences, dude, because you'll have a plus 17.5 win by 30. It just happens like that. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So we have the NBA tonight, and I already gave you guys pretty much the numbers and what I'm doing. We're doing over 217.5 Grizzlies 76ers. We're doing the Hawks tonight with the plus 105, but they're at a minus 110 now from what I saw last. And I think that they're also edging the favoritism towards the Raptors here, and they will be the favorite once the ball is tipped off. I think the Hawks will be a game time dog, but not a big dog at all. They'll be a little chihuahua at tip time. And then we have the Heat tonight as our medium dog. It's not a big dog, okay? Big dogs is plus 200 or better. This is a medium dog. This is a golden retriever right here. So we'll see how we can do with old Sparky tonight with the Heat money line plus 155 as our dog of the day. Then we have the under 229.5 with the Warriors and the Rockets. I know that's kind of rare because that used to be a game that they used to put 251 over under on in the past. And then we finish up with the Blazers with getting us a nice little road win tonight as a -4 favorite. So, Jeff, real quick, what are your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, I like where your eyes are again. I think the Hawks are tricky. Definitely the Heat will be in for a battle, obviously, on the parquet in Boston. And I like where your eyes are on definitely the under in the Blazers.
All right, so there we are. And pretty much, man, another great show with my main man, the Don of Cape Cod. You guys make sure to check out Jeff with the breakfast bankroll. Why do I always almost say it wrong? Like the baby bankroll, but the breakfast bankroll with Jeff and our guy Scotty Webb. Also, you guys just check out Jeff in general because he has some great content out as well, too. The odds couple is going to be a big, big winner, especially for the MLB players as well, too, moving forward. So you guys make sure to give Jeff a look-see on his programs as well, too. So, Jeff, any final thoughts?
No, always blessed to be here on Mondays. We try to, get on again, Fridays. We just haven't been able to connect. But, as the season progresses, we'll make sure we get some hoop talks as it is. You're doing a hell of a job yourself here. We're keeping everyone educated with some entertainment, a few jokes and a few ha-has. But the bottom line here is we're trying to get everyone to the winner's circle to cash some tickets and hopefully to pay some bills.
All right. So with that, it's Monday, and hey, it should be a big Monday as well, too. That used to be an old ESPN advertisement for college basketball Mondays. I miss those old commercials and everything like that. Big Monday and Super Tuesday. So pretty much, I don't think we have those days too much anymore because it's really only the Big 12 that plays on Mondays. But with these reschedules, though, the Monday schedule has become a little bit more brighter. So we do all appreciate that. So you guys make sure to catch some great college basketball action tonight, some great NBA action tonight as well, too. I'll be back tomorrow with some more NBA, some more college basketball as well, too. And I'm going to get a little bit more into these head coach hirings as well, too, with the Bears and the Broncos as well. So you guys make sure to tune in to the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper. And today, my guest, always on Monday, my man, the Don of Cape Cod. And you guys can go ahead and follow him at EC Sports Invest on the Twitter, and he will go ahead and take care of all your needs and everything of that nature as well, too. As I always say, bet with your head and not with your heart. If you got a hunch, bet a bunch. The movement is moving, and we bid adieu, and we are
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.